Thank you very much. It's great to be here. I'll be really quite short in terms of I don't want to take up too much time for anyone. But I've come here for two reasons, really. One is I hope you have a great morning and we can get some new ideas and we can feed those into the work that's going on under Charles's great leadership at the Combined Authority, but also to thank you for the great work you're doing in our most vulnerable communities. We've got profound issues around poverty and exclusion and opportunity, barriers to opportunity in this region, and the voluntary sector, the third sector, the social economy, is one of the most effective routes to addressing some of those challenges because of the reach you've got into those communities and the difference you've made. We've also got over 9,000 organisations, businesses built around social enterprise across the West Midlands. And what I'm really keen to do is to map out far more effectively the difference you're making and the lives that you're changing. And what you do is actually not just a moral issue in terms of investing in our people and giving those young people, particularly across our region, hope of a better future. It's a personal one too. I grew up in a very white working class bit of Bristol. I went to a school where in my year I don't think anyone went to university, and if anyone did it was only the son and daughter of a senior teacher. If it wasn't for someone who I worked for when I was 16 seeing some talent in me and taking me back one evening to an open evening at an FE college in North Bristol, I wouldn't be here today. I did some A-levels, got a degree, became a partner at PricewaterhouseCoopers. All I needed was a role model, an exemplar, someone who invested some time in me and helped me understand my potential that gave me the opportunities that I've got today. And I've seen so much of that potential across the region. And we know if we can invest in those young people particularly, we can make a big difference. And it reminds me of a time I went onto the Peaky Blinders film set and I met a young woman who'd studied makeup at a local college. When she left school, she didn't have the confidence to get a bus across Birmingham, so studied at a local college she could walk to. She was working on the film set. She'd been there since 3 a.m. that morning, and I was putting 1940s makeup on the actors who were sitting in the Garrison pub set, which I walked through. And of course, that makeup has to stay on for 8 or 10 hours. I spoke to her at the end of that when I left mid-afternoon and said, I'd love for you to come around the region with me. I think you'd inspire some young people at what you're doing. And she said to me she couldn't because she was too busy, which is a fantastic answer. But she had just signed a contract with Netflix that morning, was going to be working with them all over the world. And that is just one example of what we can do when you support young people, you believe in them, and you help them build the self-confidence and the resilience to succeed. The work you do is now even more important because I've spent the weekend visiting some of our communities across the West Midlands that feel under a lot of strain and stress and pressure at the moment due to the political messages that are out there and the increasing sense of vulnerability they feel and in some senses of persecution. And it's really, really heartbreaking when you go into whether it's Hamworth or Bangladeshi's women's community I did in Tipton. And I spent part of the weekend with the Sikh community in Walsall to hear the stories and the concerns they have about their own personal safety. And in every case, it's community groups, it's faith groups, it's the social enterprise sector that's giving those communities the support they need to feel that they're being, someone cares for them and others are speaking up for them. And of course, I said, and I will do, I will stand up for them too. And I've done that as much as I can in the press and the media over recent weeks. The role you have to play in supporting our communities is truly, really critical for the reasons I've said. The issues of exclusion and poverty. In some parts of this region, we have twice as many young people out of work as the national average. And if we're going to give those people hope and opportunities, we need to support them and ensure that we help them find a route back into work and into making the most of themselves. In terms of the work we're doing at the CA to support this, well, I issued and published a growth plan recently that addresses the two issues we need to face in this region to make it more prosperous, both attracting more and higher skilled jobs so that we can grow our economy and deal with economic issues like productivity, but it also recognises the importance of the everyday economy, whether it's construction, engineering, retail, hospitality, and that is because those often, for our young people that feel most disadvantaged, are the best routes into work and the most effective routes into work. And for many of our young people, that first job is the job that's going to change their lives. So a lot of our work is focused on how we can help these young people into those opportunities. And it's why we're working every day to open up those opportunities through our procurement processes. For example, we've got around £200 million to invest in warm homes. That means retrofitting council homes for the most vulnerable members of our community here in the West Midlands. But I want to ensure that every contractor working on those homes is employing and upskilling people from this region to do the work, and indeed employing some of the folks who live in those homes to act as community engagement part of the community engagement teams on the ground. Indeed, when I was at Friar Park in Sandwell recently, it was fantastic to meet one of the single mums who has had her home retrofitted, and now she's employed by the contractor to discuss with the neighbours the best ways in which that work could be done without interfering with family life and their own routine. So massive opportunities out there for us to use the contracts we've got to make a difference on the ground. We're also reshaping the way that our economic support functions work in the region. I don't want to get too technical on this, but we are really being really clear about the aims and objectives of the plans of Business Growth West Midlands. It is an organisation that supports smaller businesses across the region, and I've been really clear I want them to do as much work as they can with social enterprises across the region. And they will also be helping us drive social value out of the contracts that we set. Other work going on in terms of improving our communities, and we are both strategic at the CA, but we have to recognise the importance of communities on the ground. And so we are looking at ways in which we can use the good practice that have helped revitalise our high street through business improvement districts to see whether or not there's a social economy equivalent of that going forward. And we've done some partnership work with The Big Issue in terms of how we can improve the take-up of low-cost repairable finance. I also want to look at ways in which we can help the most disadvantaged communities in this region take advantage of the cheaper fares that can be bought by monthly and weekly rail and bus tickets, and because there are very significant discounts if you can afford to buy monthly and sometimes yearly travel passes, but you need the money up front to do it. And in other parts of the country, there are ways of ensuring that those families can get access to those cheaper tickets without paying enormous amounts in terms of credit. So it's early days in terms of what we're doing. I wanted to reassure you that the work you do is making a difference. I learned when I was campaigning just 2 years ago that it's the social economy, it's faith groups, it's charities, it's a voluntary sector, it's our communities that are groups that are now the safety net, sadly, in this country and in this region. And if you weren't there doing what you're doing, many of our communities would fail and fall over. So thank you for what you're doing. I hope it's a great event today, and I really look forward to learning and hearing from some of the issues discussed today, what we can do better at the Combined Authority, but also how we can work together to make the change that we want to make. Thank you.